many excuses a student can get away with for being late to class. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colin Ruane.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. For one Mid-Missouri school district, getting to school at all is a challenge. KOMU8's Alyssa Casares is live outside of the Columbia bus barn to tell us more about bus driver shortages in Mid-Missouri schools.
Columbia is a market that finds it historically difficult to hire enough bus drivers to fill seats like this one. But this year, they have more drivers than they have routes, unlike the South Callaway School District.
I've cried a lot of tears, I've said a lot of prayers, and I'm still here.
She's still driving a big yellow bus, unlike 12 other drivers who have left in the past 4 years. South Callaway has 15 daily routes, but finds it difficult to fill those bus driver positions, and that's causing more problems.
Without enough drivers and everything, it is very difficult to just get all the kids here on time and get them home.
The district keeps a sub-driver on campus to cover open positions.
Right now, if we didn't have that, I don't even know how we would be managing our routes.
It is also using other school employees to drive as well.
Well, it's a lot of hours, but it's part of my job.
The district says the students heavily rely on buses in this rural area.
We do not have that high a percentage of our kids that are driving to campus. There's no way that you're walking to campus from town.
And without enough drivers,
we literally are struggling to have school.
South Callaway meets weekly to discuss the shortage, but so far has not come up with a solution to the problem.
I think it takes a certain kind of people, you know, to become bus drivers. And right now, we're just having a hard time finding people that, you know, want to take on the responsibility.
The superintendent told me bus drivers are the most overlooked position in the school and that the shortage is statewide. Reporting live in Columbia, Alyssa Casares, KOMU8 News.
3 people are in custody in Jefferson City today as police learn more details about a shots fired incident yesterday. Police arrested Loretta Lewis, Leroy Spinks, and Elijah Sullivan yesterday. You see them right there. That was in the afternoon after someone fired a gun in the 800 block of Monroe Street. All 3 were charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Police say Spinks is a convicted felon. Officers chased the suspects before stopping them on Southwest Boulevard. JCPD found drugs and 2 handguns in their car. Police say they believe Spinks shot at the intended victim from the car before driving off. 21-year-old Elijah Sullivan's arrest yesterday led police to name him as a suspect in another shooting in Jefferson City on September 30th. I was on the scene back in September where police said one man was hit in the leg by gunfire. Officers were on the scene around 10:30 in the morning at the 200 block of Pine Street, also in Jefferson City. 3 schools in the area were placed on lockdown as a precaution.
A 19-year-old woman is stable after suffering severe injuries in an accident this morning. Elizabeth Beeler was taken to University Hospital after her van rear-ended a semi-truck. The accident happened on northbound Highway 63 at McComas Road near Sturgeon. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says Beeler's van was totaled. The driver of the semi-truck did not suffer any injuries.
Temperatures are expected to drop this weekend, and if you plan to turn on the heat, it might not make as big of a hole in your wallet this year. The Energy Information Administration projects heating your home will be the cheapest it has been in 4 years. The EIA report says heating bills will go down due to a milder winter and cheap oil prices. Homes in the Midwest will see about a 10% drop in their bills. Homes using propane could save a significant amount. The report says consumers could see a $300 decrease this winter.
You know, if the utilities were better, maybe I wouldn't be so attentive or so worried about that or paying so much attention to it.
But the Missouri Propane Gas Association says this does not mean people should fail to prepare. They said the weather is unpredictable, so the fall in gas prices is not the only factor that could affect their heating bill. Ameren Missouri filed for a lower gas rate today. If approved by the Missouri Public Service Commission, Ameren users could pay the lowest rate in 15 years, saving about $100 a year. If approved, the new rates will go into effect next month.
MU followed the lead of other SEC schools like Vanderbilt and LSU to lend a helping hand to one of its conference competitors. KOMU8's Morgan Young is here to tell us how one Columbia is helping another.
Mizzou Swimming and Diving hosted the Tennessee Volunteers for its SEC opener today. However, Mizzou Athletics asked fans to bring more than just Tiger spirit.
3 SEC schools, 2 Columbias, and 1 good cause.
MU's Meet Against Tennessee was the first part of Mizzou Athletics' Columbia for Columbia campaign. The department is collecting donations for flood victims in South Carolina in exchange for free admission to some of its sporting events. Admission to today's swim meet was already free, but I met plenty of fans in the stands who brought donations anyway.
Oh, I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's a lot of devastation back there, and any way anybody can help out, it's going to a great cause. So I'm very proud of them for stepping up to the plate and doing that.
Fans were asked to bring paper items that can be transported and distributed quickly and easily.
Toilet paper, paper towels, that kind of thing. So that's what I had, and that's what I brought.
A representative from Mizzou Athletics said he was very impressed with how many people came to the meet with donations.
Absolutely incredible. With short notice on a lot of these events, you never know the type of support we're going to get, and with the Missouri family and all of our fans and the community, today we've got a lot of donations, and this is our first of 3 events this weekend. So we're excited. We're off to a great start.
With Columbia for Columbia, MU is making it clear that even though they are competitors in athletics, South Carolina has this Columbia's full support. The Columbia for Columbia efforts will continue through the weekend. There will be free admission to Friday's volleyball match against Ole Miss and Sunday's soccer game against Tennessee for anyone who brings a donation.
Residents in Fayette can expect to see a new visitor coming to town each month. The Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri sent a mobile food pantry to Fayette for the first time today. The food bank says it hopes to deliver 10,000 pounds of food to residents in the area. The mobile pantry is refrigerated so it can deliver perishable and non-perishable items. The executive director of the food bank says today's delivery is extra special for her.
Every day we give back to our communities and we're making a difference, but it's especially meaningful to me to be able to give back to my hometown.
Lopez says this is the first time Fayette receives a delivery due to the sheer number of people in need.
International news, President Barack Obama says 9,800 U.S. troops will stay in Afghanistan through next year. His new plan also looks to keep 3,500 troops at various military installations through 2017. The president says the goal is to combat al-Qaeda and train local security, and that goal remains the same. Just a year ago, Obama said he wanted to leave no more than 1,000 troops for U.S. Embassy security. For the first time in 5 years, the government announced today it will not give an annual raise to Social Security benefits. Every year, the government looks at the rise in the cost of living and inflation. The payouts typically rise to meet society's demands, but this year, gas prices balanced out the inflation. This affects more than 65 million retirees and disabled veterans.
More than 6 decades of fighting came to a close in Myanmar today. The government signed a ceasefire agreement with 8 ethnic rebel armies. One powerful rebel army refused to sign the pact. It's the first step in a long journey to end conflict there. 40% of the country's people come from ethnic groups who have been discriminated against by the government. Israel set up roadblocks today as the country's latest move in response to a wave of violence with the Palestinians. Recent knife attacks prompted the government to block off Palestinian neighborhoods. Cars waited for hours to be searched and cleared by authorities. Years of failed peace efforts between the two groups have caused deep tensions. Israel upped their security, which was immediately condemned by Palestinian leaders.
Well, there's some clouds brewing outside. KOMU 8's Kenton Jawicki is in the First Alert Weather Center to tell you about scattered showers that are on the way.
Thanks, Colin, and we do have some scattered showers.
And how Columbia baseball teams beat out the major leagues when it comes to technology in the dugout.
Plus, researchers in Columbia are taking a new approach to curing one of the most debilitating muscular diseases. That's coming up in 10 minutes in Your Health.
And right now you're taking a live look over Columbia. It's 5:08 and this is KOMU 8 News First at 5. Coverage you can count on.
Week, we just have that what looks like an even weaker system than what it was yesterday moving through the middle of next week. And right now the rain chances are getting slimmer on that too, which is kind of sad because of course we do need the rain.
And that low Friday night keeps looking lower and lower.
I know, it's going to be chilly.
All right, thanks Kenton.
You're welcome.
The Cardinals are out of the playoffs for the postseason, but after the break we'll tell you about a new gadget you may have seen in their dugout. The Cardinals are out, but the Royals are still battling the Blue Jays on their path to the World Series.
When it comes to technology, though, Columbia High School softball and baseball teams are ahead of the majors with a trend in mobile devices. KOMU 8's Kaylee Peterson takes a look at how iPads could be changing America's pastime.
Major League Baseball just announced iPads will be allowed for use in the dugouts. The St. Louis Cardinals were among the first teams to pick up the trend. Manager Mike Matheny uses the iPads to get quick stats and scouting reports.
While the MLB just started using iPads in the dugout this season, high school softball and baseball teams have been using them in their dugouts for years.
Battle High School softball and baseball coaches both say they've had them since their program started 3 years ago. Scoring the game just got a lot easier.
You can score the game electronically. Later, I can transfer that, upload it, and I can get very deep stats.
Stats, he says, would be hard to get manually.
And helps me figure out trends to do a better lineup. I can also do it with the opponents.
Another advantage? Quickness, something the coaches don't get with pen and paper.
Things that you would normally have to do, like pen and paper math, so just a quick, easy way to have stats.
Henderson says while he finds the iPad extremely helpful, he doesn't see it changing the MLB.
I would think for major leagues, that would be the only big advantage they'd get is instant video, which I know they have a rule that they can't do that right now.
MLB teams cannot connect to Wi-Fi once the game is started. Therefore, they must download all the information beforehand. It remains to be seen just how many teams might use these in the dugouts going forward, or if we'll see more in the postseason. Kaylee Peterson, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
Earlier this week, the Cubs knocked out the Cardinals in a rivalry division series. And on the other side of Missouri, the Royals take on the Blue Jays at home tomorrow night to kick off the league championship series. New technology was unveiled today at Missouri's Tech Expo, and it aims to find a cure for one of the worst kinds of muscular dystrophy. Duchenne muscular dystrophy, or DMD, is a genetic disorder that causes irreversible deterioration of muscles. It often leaves people wheelchair-bound by their teenage years and severely limits their lifespan. The CEO and founder of Solid Biosciences, Elon Ganote, is looking to change that. His son, shown here, was diagnosed with this disease 3 years ago today. Ganote says researchers at the University of Missouri are working on a gene therapy approach. He says the approach is an attempt to replace a defective gene with a copy of a functional one.
We're licensing technology that could well translate into a real change for this disease, for basically every patient.
Ganote says DMD affects 1 out of 3 to 4,000 newborn boys.
Training the mind might be more important than a physical workout for athletes. Researchers in Scotland tested a group of runners to see how mental toughness affects their performance. They injected half the group with a placebo drug the runners were told would boost their performance. Those with the placebo said their runs felt better and recovered faster than those who trained normally. Public officials are pushing for people to use life-saving tactics in dangerous situations with the help of their cell phones. The Red Cross says you should take action by calling 911 and putting the phone on speaker. An app called Pulse Point aims to get help sooner than paramedics. So when someone dials 911, it would alert anyone with the app who is trained in CPR to come help.
You can say, wow, I'm right down the street from this, I can help, and it just puts hands on the chest faster.
The American Heart Association reminds people they do not have to be trained in CPR to help.
Hundreds of hours and thousands of books. After the break, how the Frankfurt Book Fair used records to set a new one.
South Callaway School District says it's part of a statewide shortage. So let's send it out to Alyssa Casares, who's live inside a school bus in the Columbia Bus Barn to tell us how the shortage is affecting the district.
The South Callaway School District doesn't have enough bus drivers to run its 15 daily routes. Now, the superintendent told me that this is the most overlooked position at schools, but that they are very important. He also told me without enough drivers, the district is struggling to get students to campuses on time. Administrators meet every week to talk about the shortage, but yet they have yet to come up with a solution. Reporting live in Columbia, Alyssa Casares, KOMU 8 News.
Coming up on KOMU 8 News at 6, lawmakers and Mid-Missouri schools clash over gender identity.
We'll take a look at how students on both sides of the issue responded.
The Frankfurt Book Fair set a record for the most books being toppled like dominoes. Take a look at that going right there. Organizers spent hours setting up books to fall flat in 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Here's a unique aspect, though. They used 10,200 copies of the Guinness Book of World Records. The fair hopes to see its story written in next year's record books.
Well, we do have some scattered temperature tomorrow. Going to be much cooler this weekend.
Have a great night.